We begin this hour with a major media blitz. Both presidential candidates taking their messages to Fox News, though they've got two very different missions. This evening, we're going to see Kamala Harris sitting down for her first ever interview with the network as she attempts to win over more conservatives. Earlier today, Trump appeared on Fox for a town hall, telling an exclusively female audience that he is the father of IVF.
Oh, I want to talk about IVF. I'm the father.
You don't hear that every day.
I'm the father of IVF. We really are the party for IVF. We want fertilization, and it's all the way. And the Democrats tried to attack us on it, and we're out there on IVF even more than them. So we're totally in favor of it.
Harris is now railing against Trump for those comments. Here's how she responded a short time ago.
Donald Trump, I found it to be quite bizarre, actually called himself the father of IVF. And if what he meant is taking responsibility, well, then, yeah, he should take responsibility for the fact that 1 in 3 women in America lives in a Trump abortion ban state. What he should take responsibility for is that couples who are praying and hoping and working toward growing a family have been so disappointed and harmed by the fact that IVF treatments have now been put at risk.
Let's begin our coverage now with CNN's Elena Treen. And Elena, Trump had a lot to say during that town hall. Walk us through the highlights.
Right. Well, I think that IVF comment was clearly one of the highlights. It was a pretty odd comment. When I talked to Donald Trump's senior advisors about this, look, they didn't have a direct response to the father of IVF quote, but what they said, where they said that was coming from, was essentially that Donald Trump thinks that he is a leader on that particular issue, especially when you look back at some of the IVF rulings or Supreme Court rulings like in Alabama in February that did impact access to IVF. And Donald Trump had quickly come out and said, I support this, and other Republican officials followed suit. It is something I know that he brags about often in private conversations, and he thinks it's one issue where he can really help narrow that gender gap and try to make inroads with female voters. But I do want to turn your attention to another very notable moment from that town hall, which was when he tried to clarify his comments when he said that the greatest threat to the United States is the enemy of the people. Take a listen. Or the enemy from within.
It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick and they're so evil.
Okay, so, and excuse me, I meant to say the enemy from within. I think the big thing here is that a lot of Republican allies, people on the Trump campaign, were trying to defend these remarks from the former president and say that he was referring to protesters, to rioters. He talked about sending the military in to deal with the enemy from within. And then he said, no, actually, he was talking about his political opponents. He was talking about Democrats. He mentioned directly the Pelosi's. And so I think it's very clear what he was trying to say. The other part of this, of course, is that Republicans continue to argue that Democrats are using very dangerous rhetoric. They continue to blame, we just saw Nancy Mace do this with you moments ago, blame Democrats for the assassination attempts on the former president. But it is, Donald Trump is using very dangerous language, too.
Elena, he also was just speaking to a group of folks at Town Hall on Univision, and he reiterated debunked claims about Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Tell us more about that.
That's right. So, and just to be clear, this was he just participated in this town hall in Miami. It's not going to air until later, so we don't have the clips of that. But yes, he was asked about this. A Republican voter said that, I've seen these comments. The officials on the ground, Republican officials on the ground, have debunked these claims. You said that you would revoke their temporary protected status, the Haitian migrants who are living in Ohio. Are you worried about that? Do you take any of that back? And Donald Trump, he kind of tried to dodge it. He said that he was just looking at reports. He said, quote, I was just saying what was reported. He went on, though, to add that they were eating other things, too, that they were not supposed to be. I mean, he is not running away from this. I think it's very clear that, these officials on the ground, again, Republican officials, the Republican mayor of the town, the Republican governor of Ohio, have been saying that these are just not true. And it goes beyond that as well. We know that these communities have been deeply impacted. We've seen the stories of these Haitian migrants saying they are scared now in that community. We've seen the bomb threats and the closures of schools because of this rhetoric. And it's something that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and a lot of Republicans are not running away from. I think it was very interesting that a Republican voter asked him that question directly and tried to see if he would walk away from it. And Donald Trump said, "This is something I read." But again, even if he had read that and it is later not true, these are comments that he's been consistently told are not true and is continuing to peddle.
He clearly likes that it's illuminated the topic, even though it's untrue.
Exactly. Well, that's what Republicans always say, that at least they're bringing light to this issue of immigration.
At what cost? Elena Treen, thank you so much. Let's turn now to CNN's Danny Freeman, who is traveling with the Harris campaign in Battleground, Pennsylvania. And Danny, the vice president is set to speak there this hour alongside more than 100 Republicans who support her before her Fox interview airs. Tell us about this.
That's right, Brianna. Well, nearly 250 years after President George Washington crossed the Delaware River behind me, now today, Vice President Kamala Harris is hoping to reach across the aisle to convince some Republicans to support her instead of former President Donald Trump. That's what this event entirely is about. You already noted over 100 Republicans here expected to back her and support Vice President Kamala Harris. That's who's in attendance predominantly for this event right here. Also, we're going to hear from former Representative Adam Kinzinger. We also just recently heard from the Georgia former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, all speaking about the themes of patriotism, uniting the nation, and particularly putting country over party. And the Harris campaign says that Harris, when she speaks within this hour, is going to lean into topics like January 6th, like former President Trump's unwillingness to accept the results of the 2020 election, and much more. That's really what this entire campaign event is about today here in Bucks County, to present this image of a bipartisan campaign. That's at least what they hope to bring across. But like I said, Brianna, we're in Bucks County. It's a county that we talk about all the time. It's one of those purple counties, the suburbs of Philadelphia. It usually has gone blue over the past several elections, at least on the presidential scale. But interestingly, it's always by a very, very tight margin. And also this year, Republicans now have a voter advantage. It's slight, but it is a voter advantage over Democrats in this particular county. A senior Harris aide for the campaign here in Pennsylvania noted recently that you just don't win Bucks County unless you are able to win some Republican voters. That's what this event is all about today. And then you mentioned, Brianna, this media blitz continuing. She obviously did Charlemagne the God, targeting hopefully black voters from the campaign's perspective yesterday. Today, later on, going in to Fox News to do an interview with Bret Baier. We're told that that interview will take place after this event and then air later this evening. Brianna?
We're going to monitor the vice president's remarks from Pennsylvania. We'll, of course, bring you the latest on the ground. Danny Freeman, thank you so much.